Hey, it's been a minute since we've done one of these. Michael Langston over there. That's recruiting analyst for Warchant.com, the ultimate assembled sports source. I'm Aslan Hajivandi, director of digital media. What does that all entail? I don't know. Sounds cool, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Almost as cool as being able to sign for Warchant.com for only $1 for 2 months. FSU1. That's the promo code. Use it. Get all the lowdown, the real lowdown on what's going on with Florida State recruiting and everything else under the sun. If they don't feel like paying up a buck, which I get it. Times be hard out there. What else can they do to show some love, Michael Langston?
You can always certainly hit the like button. That always helps us promote all these great features, especially when it's predominantly good news. But at least some good news, and then but it's just news in general. And like I said, I don't think there's anything I can get for $1. So get something really good for $1. I jump on it, guys. So hit the like button. Also, come on board.
Attaboy. All right, Michael, we had heard some good news bubbling, some good trend lines. Mario Nash, offensive lineman from the state of Mississippi, committed to Mississippi State for a minute, decommitted after a nice visit this past weekend against Clemson, and then he went ahead and decided to pop. I guess that's the terminology that's used
Yeah.
sometimes in these recruiting circles. Uh, how did that come about, do you think, Michael Langston?
Yeah, they've FSU's been with him from the start. That was probably one of the first schools that really got involved with Mario. So he's a guy that it's a place that he feels very comfortable with. Certainly, they got him back over for this official visit. That they seemed to knock it out of the park. Everything I'd heard, and then Matt Lasser did a really good job. Sharing the thoughts of what was going on with Mario. I said before this visit, though. I mean, I said that there's a really legit chance, and this is before he decommitted and all that stuff. So I felt like, when that visit was scheduled and set up, I felt like there was a shot here, and certainly if FSU can show enough, good product on the field, I think certainly that's a guy I think they could reel in, and then tonight, they got the job done, and it's a big, certainly a big commitment for a player that they don't have offensive tackle, if I'm not mistaken, in the class. So to land a talented player like Mario is certainly big news for a team at FSU that there hasn't been a lot of good news to go around. So to land a guy like that, I think coming off that. I thought it was an inspirational game, just what I saw from either the young guys and all that stuff. And I think a lot of recruits shared a similar vibe. Just all the guys I talked to, and certainly ones that Matt talked to, I think shared the same sentiment. So I think certainly maybe this is a building stone of what's to come as far as the season goes. If you can continue to see that growth, but I think certainly a big deal for FSU to get a talented offensive tackle in this class.
Over 31 offers, his huddle video says 6'4", 285 is what he goes by on his huddle video, 6'4", 270 in our On3 database. Consensus 4-star, 3 stars here, 4 stars everywhere else. What do you like about Mario, Michael? What do you think this staff likes about Mario?
Well, I really love his athleticism. That certainly jumped out to you when you watch him, and I also like how he uses his hands very well. He's really quick on even the run plays, and then certainly really good in the pass pro. Although they seem to run a lot of stuff behind him as far as his quickness and the way he gets out on blocks and the way he finishes. I really like some of the things I see with that, and certainly but even the most I see is just what they do with him. They run behind him a lot. If you watch a lot of the video, and I think a lot of FSU fans will definitely take that of a guy, as far as run blocking, something that they haven't seemed to really do a lot of, as far as this year in a positive way. But I think overall at landing a guy like this gives you a lot of talent. And like I said, he's extremely athletic when you watch the way he moves and the way he pulls and the way he finishes. Certainly impressive to me.
All right. Well, with that commitment, Florida State is now ranked 18th in the country. So that's cool. They're back in the top 20, Michael.
Yeah.
And I say back in the top 20 because they fell out of it for about an hour on Thursday night. They dropped to 22nd after Daylan McCutcheon, 4-star wide receiver from the state of Texas, decided to decommit from Florida State and then promptly flip and commit to the University of Texas and Steve Sarkisian.
Right.
I'm not going to, I mean, I'm going to ask you, people are like, you're an idiot, Aslan, but why did he decommit, Michael?
Well, I think this one's been kind of in the works for a bit, as the kids say, a minute, so to speak. But I think I'm certainly the wide receiver group has not had a really strong year at all. When you watch this group, and then their product on the field being 1-5 certainly I think contributed to that. And then what Texas is doing on the field, I think, is the obvious answer. When you watch, Texas being very good, they seem to be have everything in balanced and based as far as what his future could be, and I think that was always a school that he also was intrigued and high on. But I think the season and the product of what was going on with FSU really had an effect on this one, similar to how it did with Malik Clark. I think, unfortunately, that's the downside of bad enough with you have to watch the product, but there's certain things where there's ramification consequences when the product isn't clicking, and the position that we play. We see a lot of them. I mean, it's two decommitments from the wide receiver position, so that tells you kind of there's concerns about where this is going as far as a wide receiver position.
I mean, it's, as you mentioned, I mean, it is to be
Yeah,
expected, but
yeah.
does this create does this create opportunity in your mind, Michael, or is this more does this create kind of chaos and just perhaps like the bad kind of momentum?
I mean, it's a solid loss. I mean, no doubt, it's a loss. It's significant, as I posted on the board when he decommitted. But it was also one that I think have been a work. I think part of it is kind of the FSU struggles, but also part of it is too. I think it's 50-50 of what Texas is doing on the field.
Mhm.
And I think that's going to get kind of lost in it. We saw that with Javion Hillison when he decommitted, and then we saw that certainly with Myron Charles, who flipped also to Texas. So I think product matters, and I think it's a 50-50 thing as far as the impact. But you got to help yourself with your product, and certainly FSU struggled in that area. Certainly, there was a lot of buzz and excitement among the recruits of what they saw. Just a lot of young players playing and stuff like that. But I always say when there's a drastic shift of how a season goes, if you compare one season to the other, it's going to impact somewhat in recruiting. You'd be stupid to think otherwise. I mean, especially when you have that drastic of a shift.
All right, then, Michael, I'll ask you this. I feel fairly confident, at least I did 24 hours ago, that I'll give Mike Norvell the benefit of the doubt. I think on the whole, he
Hmm.
has evaluated portal prospects quite well, obviously with the exception of what he brought in this year. So
Right,
I just feel like he'll probably have a better grasp of what he did wrong. He'll be able to identify that, get the right guys to come back here because they're going to have to go into the portal still. I'd
right,
rather them not to, but that's just where they're at right now. They even if they get, unless they get 5 Jeremiah Smiths at different positions, they can't get anybody from high school that's going to be able to make this thing go from 5-7 to back to a playoff sort of berth.
right.
I mean, this thing 5-7 is on the bright side of this thing too, Michael. Like, where are they going to go when it comes to high school recruiting? I mean, they are top 20 right now. I feel like that's. I mean, they might be able to move up a couple spots, but it feels like the potential to backslide even further really exists because, I mean, relationships still have to count.
Yes.
Um, I know the product's not great, but what are they going to be able to really get done here in the next month and a half before the early signing period?
Yeah, I think that's why it was important to what guys played last week. You saw Landon Thomas starting. Um, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think he started, but or he played a lot. But all these young guys playing, your quarterback being young and Brock Glenn, that really almost stopped the bleeding per se, just because of there's a buzz and excitement about them that they didn't have. It felt like those first games before that, it was kind of like, okay, what are they going to do this week? I mean, how bad is it going to be this week? And so now I think there's at least belief of the future. But yeah, there's not a lot I think they can do outside of just growing every week off that product of guys they play. Keep playing the young guys, showing what the young guys can do. So it shows each position of this is what they can be, and then also it also keeps you kind of know what you're going to value from an NIL perspective. Going into the following year when you play this many young guys, you can see what values and what guy values and what guys don't. And but as far as a recruiting standpoint, I think it really. I mean, I think recruits really get excited when they see younger players play, whether it's a true freshman or even a sophomore that is just now getting on the field. I think that's something they can keep highlighting, and that creates buzz with recruits based on the people I talked to, both you know especially last weekend. It just seemed to generate excitement that I haven't seen in a while. So I would say keep generating that stuff. Certainly will help the buzz. That now, is there a lot of targets out there that I can name? Not really.
Yeah, that's the
Uh,
thing, Michael.
no,
Like,
I can't really.
are they gonna have to go back and try to win guys back, or are they gonna have to kind of, I don't know, like go back and look in their file folder and think of other guys that they might have not. I, they can't go after second, third choices now, can they? In terms of like who's on their board, they have to kind of divert to the portal, because if you're not going to get your top flight high school prospects, you need to get this thing better ASAP. I don't think you can start looking like, all right, well, let's go back and look at some more film of these schools and see if we see somebody that we didn't think of the first time. Walk me through what you think is the right way to move.
I think there's guys on the radar, like a Jalen Boggs that they just offered. Is committed to UCF. I like him a lot. He also goes to Cocoa High. He plays at the same school as Javion Hillison. I love his game. I think those are the guys that I think you can go after. Guys that you recruited, but you didn't really push 100% for. Now, the guys that you pushed 100% for and you just didn't get, yeah, those are probably not likely to happen outside of some big shift on the field that we don't know about or we don't anticipate. But I think you can go after guys like Jalen Boggs that are, you know, I think he's a low 4-star right there. I mean, I think you can pull guys like that, but they're gonna have to target them. They've already extended a few offers. I think several offers on the defensive line. Certainly, offered to Boggs, which kind of told me, yeah, the Dalen thing was coming up. But I think overall Jalen is kind of the guys that you can focus on because there's got to be it's got to be relationship that there's some kind of relationship there in some degree, and then two, highlight kind of what your plan is and what you're going to do. Certainly playing time is something you can certainly illustrate, and go from there. And then that's why I think it's so important to play these young guys to kind of see what you have, and it excites recruits when you do that. You want everyone to earn their spot and earn their PT, but that certainly gets recruits excited when they see the younger players get a chance and opportunity, and I think that's certainly helping them in recruiting. That's certainly there. I think changes are inevitable. You can take that any way you want to take it. I think that's inevitable, and that certainly has to happen. I've illustrated this and said it very bluntly several times. The high school recruiting has to be more 60-40 high school recruiting than it does portal. Right now, I feel like it's 60-40 portal. And I think to be successful where they need to go, I mean, that has to be 60-40, I think, in high school recruiting. And there needs to be a more aggressiveness from FSU, both from how they pursue and then two, from NIL perspective. I think they have to be more aggressive. I don't think it's a drastic change, but that has to, I think, elevate as far as what I'm seeing, at least in this cycle.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're still going to sign as many guys as they can high school wise, but
Yep.
they're also going to still go out for a lot of guys in the portal. But you only have a finite amount of resources to
Yep.
woo those guys over. So at some point, they're going to have to try to give more over to getting 25 better high school guys than what they've been getting. Last thing on the way out, Michael, don't want to keep it too
Excuse
long.
me.
It is late here tonight, but just fair or unfair to look a little closer at Ron Dugan's and his ability to recruit. But in this day and age, what's it matter if you like the guy? I mean, there's other guys whose faces are printed on paper that you
Yep.
can use to buy things that are a
Yeah.
little bit cooler than Ron Dugan's face, you know.
I think it's fair, Aslan, when you look at it. In my opinion, the wide receiver position is one of the worst units on the FSU's team when I watch them. Like, that's just my opinion. Now, there might be worse ones, but and we don't see a lot of young guys playing that they got from the high school market that are taking off. Now, Hakeem started to get a little bit last game, but
Yeah.
that stuff matters with recruits when they watch that stuff. So I think it's very fair. The unit has not looked good. It's not. I really like Ron. I have a really good relationship with Ron. I mean, he's obviously a former Nole and all that stuff, but business is business, and certainly it's fair that I think a lot of guys overall, when you through across the staff, I mean, they're going to have to evaluate what's best for FSU. And that's the best way I can put it. But I think it's very fair to, certainly look at that part, as far as receivers, because you've lost two receiver commits, both of them 4 stars. CJ Wiley's still up in the air because
Yeah.
Georgia's still pushing. So yeah, I mean, if you lose CJ Wiley, I mean, what are you basing your stuff on if if you're not seeing the high school guys develop like other high school guys at other schools? I
Yeah.
mean, that's just, I hate to be blunt, but that's just what it is.
Yeah, it feels like he's gonna have to probably fall on the sword because again, they're not going to get rid of the head coach and the main
Yeah,
playing caller, but they are 1-5, and it's because of the decisions they made in the portal, the guys they went after, and the
yeah,
quarterback they went after, and the offense they wanted to execute, and the fact they couldn't do it is leading to the fact that these high school guys that they were able to pull in are no longer interested in coming. But
yeah,
they've got 6 games to get better. They've got a bye week to get better. Brock Glenn made the team look a little bit better, so
yeah,
we'll just
yeah,
hope that continues to carry on. But again, Daylan McCutcheon finishes the flip and commits to Texas, but Mario Nash comes in behind him, picks up the day, gets Florida State back into the top 20, consensus 4-star offensive lineman, tackle.
yep,
Need one of those from the state of Mississippi. Always good to get somebody from the Magnolia State. Michael's got plenty more over on the PRB, the Premium Recruiting Board, so go check that stuff out. Michael, appreciate you taking time out on your Thursday night, giving us knowledge for free.
you got it, man. It's my pleasure.